Do you want to be a healer? Do you want to be a holy priest? Because in Dragonflight, you can play holy priest just like in every other expansion, and things have changed for holy priest, and maybe you want to know in case it is the spec that you ever wanted, ever wished to be more and more than, I don't know what I'm saying, but it is holy priest, and it is the quintessential generic healer, and it's not generic in the bad sense, but generic as in, you know, it's the cleric, it's the holy words, the power of the light, the just mend the wound and fill that HP bar healer that everybody wants with so many buttons that it feels like you're playing a Beethoven piece on your laptop, computer, or console. You're not playing WoW on your console now. No, that's just silly. That's for the future. But what also is for the future is our Patreon platform, because our patrons are directly supporting our content through their, you know, support, I guess. So if you like our daily videos covering all the classes and things that are changing into the game, tier lists, main videos, podcasts and streams and more to come into the future, because we did talk about future, consider becoming our Patreon. The Patreon link is down in the description. We have a couple of tiers with a couple of goodies and rewards based on your contribution level, and you can choose whatever you want. Obviously, anything and everything is highly appreciated, and we're humbly very grateful is what I wanted to say, for the support that we've been getting, because I'm not gonna lie, the Patreon platform is actually helping us out do all of this stuff with all of the cool little gadgets and the quality videos and the daily videos, and to be able to pay Lego a new pair of glasses because he isn't seeing the tooltips of abilities lately. I don't know what's going on. But with that out of the way, let's actually go into the Holy Priest changes in the last couple of weeks, because it's been a while since we looked at the spec, and things have changed for priests in general, but we haven't actually talked about holy. First of all, in the general talent tree, we did talk a bit about these in the shadow video, because a couple of things have been, you know, going away. But more related to Holy Priest, let's say, Blessed Victory is now a choice node with spell warding, and it left Inspiration alone for now, which, sure, let's move choice nodes. I mean, that's not a big deal. I mean, it kind of basically paints the picture of what the spec should be able to do and what talents you should have access to and what talents you should sacrifice to get other things. Not a big deal. Then the former Tools of the Cloth was renamed to Word of the Pious, and does the same thing. Nothing really changed except for just the name. So moving on to the actual talents of the spec, and Holy has suffered some changes. Starting from the very top, Holy Fire is no longer in the talent tree. It is now baseline, which I guess good. It was something that only Holy got anyway, so this is a trend that we're seeing with other specs. In its place was moved Burning Vehement, and it seems the devs want you to have Imperial Blaze very early, as it was moved on the top far right side in the old place of Imperial Blaze. These are all the mechanics that work with Holy Fire, which is cool. Afterlife is now a standalone talent, so no more choice nodes, which, yay, I guess. I like to be a spirit healer to resurrect people, at least in aesthetics at the very least. Renewed Fate has been swapped with the choice node of Benediction and Holy Mending, promoting much earlier a renew play, which we've been seeing that they're trying to push this into Discipline and Holy as well. Use more Renew, since for the longest time, like I mentioned before, Renew has kind of been a very underwhelming spell to cast. Still on the right-hand side of the talent tree, the new Divine Service, which was not an implemented talent before, and Enlightened were swapped around, and now you can have your mana regeneration faster, a little bit sooner into the talent tree, because it was a little bit too far away before. Going further down on the right-hand side and continuing towards the left, kind-ish. Firstly, we have Say Your Prayers, that took the spot of Imperial Blaze. Say Your Prayers basically makes Prayer of Mending have a 15% chance to not consume a charge when it jumps to a new target. So, you know, that's cool because you have more uptime on Prayer of Mending. The choice node of Empowered Renew and Rapid Recovery is on the middle right-hand side now, essentially empowering your Renew playstyle. So basically, Empower Renew, as the name would suggest, makes Renew instantly heal your target for 10% of its total periodic effect, Or Rapid Recovery increases healing done by Renew by 35%, but decreases its base duration by 3 seconds. So it kind of changes a little bit on how you want that healing to be delivered. Either you want some instantly heal right away because the target is taking maybe a lot of damage and you want to resolve it really quick, or maybe you want it to just be more efficient overall in terms of its healing and do more healing and even make it happen in less time. So they kind of both solve a similar type of scenario where you just want to condense the healing of Renew into a shorter window. Well, kind of, because you have more upfront healing right away as opposed to, you know, the baseline Renew. So you kind of change exactly what you want. Empower Renew gives you some instant healing right now, which 10% might not be that much, but hey, it's right away. Or Rapid Recovery is just more efficient. It's like, okay, I can have my target, I know my target is not gonna die for the foreseeable future. Let's just make its HP healing a little bit more efficient with Rapid Recovery, which I think is a cool thing. I swear to you guys, I do this professionally. Now, moving on, where Empowered Renew versus Rapid Recovery was before, came in the, what was before the old Capstone choice node of Holy Word Salvation versus Apotheosis, which are, you can consider them Capstones now, because they were for the last couple of expansions on the last row of the talent tree, kind of solidifying your base chunk of the meat of the heal that you would get either through Apotheosis or Salvation, which are really cool, and now they're no longer Capstones. You can essentially access them a little bit earlier, either from the left-hand side of the talent tree or from the middle side, or if you go from the right, you can path all the way down to this, if you so desire, and you can get these, let's say, in a more accessible way, which I guess it's cool. And continuing from this choice node, now you have the new talent, Desperate Times, in the place of Flight of the Naru, which was moved a little to the right where all the Holy Word cooldown reductions seem to be more positioned that way. Desperate Times, what this does is increases the healing by 10% on friendly targets at or below 50% health. So you can kind of think of this as a healer's version of an execute phase, right? Which I guess this is kind of cool concept. You kind of really don't want your targets to ever go that low, but let's be honest, that's always gonna happen. Whether you plan for it or not, whether there's a specific mechanic that will guarantee take the target below 50% health. Maybe you just want an, oh shit, something's happening right now, gotta heal this really quick. Also, it's a 2-pointer, so it's obviously increased by 20%. So that's really good. I mean, I kind of like this, but it's a mentality that you kind of don't really want to be as a hero. You don't, which is why, you know, for the longest time, Resto Shaman's Mastery wasn't something that Resto Shamans ever catered towards. You hardly ever saw Resto Shamans take it, and it's relevant to a Holy Priest, is what I'm saying, is because Resto Shaman's Mastery makes it so it heals more, has a chance to heal more when the target is very low on HP, but you've hardly ever seen any of our Resto Shaman guides in the last couple of years ever suggesting that you take Mastery, because as a concept, as a healer, you want to prevent people ever getting to a state where they could die more easily, rather than make it so that when that happens, you have more tools to deal with. So it's a matter of mindset. I kind of like this because it kind of takes you out of the loop a little bit, but I digress. Let's see exactly how this turns out once the first season starts. And from the Naru, Light of the Naru, you have now a choice node, Capstone, with a new talent and an old talent that was on the right-hand side. So we have Divine Image is the new talent, and Divine Word, the other one is now, they're now a choice node together. So basically, Divine Image, when you use a Holy Word spell, you have a chance to summon an image of a Naru at your side. For 15 seconds, whenever you cast a spell, the Naru will cast a similar spell, which is a cool concept. But we go into the direction where you're basing the survivability of somebody in your group on RNG, which is not something that you want, and it's hardly ever something that healers might go into, at least when it comes to progression, where healing is probably more important, because otherwise you don't get to the next boss, or you don't push the next key, because obviously when a Naru comes back and casts a similar spell, proc chance is 25%, so it's not that low of a proc chance, at least from the tooltip, from what we know. But then again, that means if it casts a similar spell, we can imagine that at the very least, the spell is about, I don't know, 60-70% of its effectiveness, or if it's like an exact duplicate, then that's a little bit of overkill, because Holy essentially has like massive throughput, right? You slap a Holy Word on the target, Holy Word Serenity, that usually just puts that target to like 100% HP. What good is there to have a second Holy Word Serenity when the target is already full health? Or what good is it for you to overheal with this specific talent? So obviously, first of all, the talent has to proc when you need it, and has to not overheal when you need it. So it's, although it's cool, I think these types of mechanics work better with a cooldown, where you can add this Divine Image and make it have like, I don't know, a 1 minute cooldown, 30-second cooldown, 45-second cooldown, no matter how well it functions properly, so you can actually plan it. Healers need to plan this stuff so that they can assure the group survival. Survivability cannot be left to chance. That's not DPS, right? So this is something that we can, you know, talk about for the tanks as well, where this mentality is not good for a progression type scenario, and it doesn't have to be just for mythic raiders, top 1%, race the world first. Even if you're in your normal rating or heroic rating group and you're a healer and you guys are struggling to get the boss, and you take this, you don't want to take this and think, well, there's a chance that you might live, or there's a chance that you might not, unless this talent procs, or maybe this talent procs and you're already full HP and everybody's full HP and it's just a transition phase. So it feels awkward no matter what difficulty you're doing. So I'm kind of on the fence with these types of mechanics. While Divine Word is basically a 1 minute cooldown, the effectiveness of your next Holy Word, Serenity, Sanctify, or Chastise is increased by 50% and grants a corresponding divine favor for 15 seconds. So if you use it on Chastise, increases your damage by 50%, and Smite has a 40% chance to apply Holy Fire or Sanctify. Basically, we've been through this. We know this talent, but this is what I mean, right? Divine Word is likely going to be picked over Divine Image, since it's something that you can control, and when it comes to survivability, you don't want that to be under RNG of any kind. And finally, on the right-hand side, lower towards the capstone, you have Searing Light, which was slightly moved to position a little bit more to the left. What Searing Light does is Smite and Holy Nova deal 25% additional damage to targets affected by Holy Fire. It's a 2-pointer, so that goes up to 50%. So it's just more DPS, and it's, you know, on the side of the talent tree where you just do more DPS, which is good, because, you know, it leads down into the capstone of Miracle Worker versus Restitution. Miracle Worker makes Holy Word Serenity and Holy Word Sanctify gain an additional charge, which that's cool. I kind of like that stuff. But also a Restitution, after Spirit of Redemption expires, you'll revive at up to 100% health based on your healing done during Spirit of Redemption. After reviving, you cannot benefit from this Spirit of Redemption for 10 minutes. This is a cheat death. This is really cool, and it's likely going to be a must pick for Holy Priest during progression, because it's probably the strongest cheat death in the game. Because what happens is Spirit of Redemption, basically now it's baseline, right? So when you die, you become the angel of healing. You heal everybody, and you're likely going to spam heal like a maniac, and then you'll be popped back up to life for 100% HP. I would imagine getting 100% HP with a spec like Holy Priest that does a lot of throughput and doesn't need a lot of prep work to do that throughput is not going to be particularly difficult. And even if you don't get 100%, you still revive yourself for like 10 minutes. So this is like an improved reincarnation, right, that shamans have, but on a 10-minute cooldown and on a 30-minute cooldown, and with almost guaranteed 100% HP. So that's kind of weird, I guess, but hey, whatever. It's a capstone. You can choose to take it or not to take it, but it's so strong that I find it very hard to believe that it's not going to be taken. But this is kind of how Holy Priest looks like. To be fair with you, I kind of like how the talent is looking at this point in time. There's a lot of pathing that you can do, and you can essentially get to most of the capstones, because the layout of the talent tree is very similar to a lot of talent trees that are really good right now in Dragonflight, where there are multiple paths. You can essentially, if you look at the talent tree, you can go all the way from Circle of Healing down to this particular cheat death talent tree, where Circle of Healing is top to left. Same thing with Imperial Blaze on the top right. You can go all the way down to the bottom left capstone. So this style of talent design gives you a lot of freedom to build however you want it to build. And, you know, since DPS right now is a choice, maybe that will turn into a much better meta for Holy Priests in the future, where they don't feel like they have the DPS, or they have to pick a gazillion buttons, because you do have a gazillion and one buttons actually. But what do you think about Holy Priest? Do you think it looks better? I actually think it's a lot better, and Holy Priest is historically my least favorite spec. I don't hate it, but it's my least favorite spec, and to be fair, I kind of like how it is now more than I have ever seen Holy Priest so far. So maybe that's a good omen for Holy Priest, and maybe you guys can be happy about maining it in Dragonflight. And with that out of the way, thank you for watching the video. Once again, consider becoming our patron to support the content that we do. The link is down in the description. Love y'all. Peace.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.